Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more.
Boom! We're live on Thirsty Thursday, my favorite day of the week outside of Friday. I am your host, Rob Valincius, and I have the pleasure of having with me Scott Martin. Now, Scott, I didn't have to ask you this time around. Most of the time, I have some crazy last names, and I'm like, all right, I wing it. You're a little bit more easier, so
Really?
I'm thankful for that.
I do not have a reputation for being easy, Rob.
Now, Scott, you're an author. Well, your book is coming out in June of this year, right?
Yeah.
Play from Your Heart, A Journey Through Loss, Resilience, and the Beautiful Game. So welcome to the show.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to this. My wife poured me a nice tall glass of brown sugar bourbon. So
Okay, there you go.
Drink O'Clock, I'm good with this.
Cheers up, cheers up.
Here we go.
So, yeah, I didn't go old-fashioned today. That's my go-to on the show. You know what it is? As you age, in 2026 this year, I'll be 40. I'm hitting that monumental moment. And surprised I made it this long, to be honest. But okay. I look at it this way. Your tastes start to become sophisticated, right? And for the longest time, my friends make fun of me because I was always the light beer drinker. I never drank any whiskey, and I still drink light beer. I enjoy light beer. I'm not a fan of IPAs and all the other crazy shit. I'm a very simple guy. But when it comes to whiskey, I have grown. We'll say over the past 4 or 5 years into sophisticated whiskeys. I'm not the biggest fan of like scotches and things like that, but there's just something about a really well-made, good aged whiskey.
Yeah, just the sipping touch.
You appreciate the art. There's an art form to it.
Yeah. Well, I have a problem. I've always been known as the beer pansy, because being in soccer and going over to Europe and things, and I can't drink dark beer. Anything with a certain color, I can't, because I have a special taste. Anything that is burnt taste or just certain tastes like that dark beer have, the bitterness, it's just revolting to me, and I can't say it. So being in soccer and growing up and having my first beer at 16 when I'm playing with men in their 20s and 30s, I was known as a beer pansy because I could only drink the lagers and things like that. So here we go.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I honestly, I embrace it now. It's something you learn as you age as well, as you just embrace the shit you like and the shit you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us unique.
Exactly.
Now, you have a very unique backstory, right? So, my podcast, I always like to start with the before. So, walk me through up to kind of the tragic turn, or I wouldn't want to say tragic. You're still here, right? Yeah. But the major turn in your life. Walk me through there. What was your life like? Where did you grow up? I mean, you don't have to get into super specifics, but would love to hear about that.
I'm a Wisconsin boy through and through, except for the dark beer, I guess.
Packer fan?
Hell yeah, Packers,
Okay.
Brewers,
Right.
you bet. But I lived out west.
Hey man, Packers got a tough game. Packers got a tough game this weekend.
They're favored. They're favored.
The Packers?
Yeah, last I heard, they are favored to win in Soldier Field. I don't know where the heck they're going to pull that rabbit from.
It's supposed to snow really bad. Apparently, I saw they're going to have
Really?
they said they just said that it's looking like they're going to have not substantial but cumulative snow.
Well,
so we'll see. Gotta love a Green Bay,
Oh, yeah.
Chicago Bears snow game.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, put it in Soldier Field. All right, here's my background, man. So I went to college in Wisconsin, again, staying here. I came out eventually with a degree in social studies and history, and I ended up teaching at the high school level. That's where I started out, and coaching both boys and girls soccer, and working my way up. I had an eye on getting to the college ranks. Instead of going as someone's assistant right out of college at a Division One, I went to the classroom, doing my teaching and building programs and learning that way, and going over to Europe most every summer when we weren't playing and things. Boy, what a busy guy I was during those times. Um, and an opportunity came to be the head coach at a Division Three. So, boom. I took the position as a head women's soccer coach at the University of Wisconsin at Eau Claire. First year program. I'll say something right up front, Rob. I have never, even now, I have never taken over a winning program. It's either been losing before or it was a brand new program. This one at Eau Claire was brand new, but had a decent group of, we have 14 players, man. That's it. But we were able to just learn how to work with each other within the philosophy they had. So we ended up going nationally ranked that first season. And things were looking real, a buddy of mine that I had been to Europe with before, he and I hand selected college players from across the country, had them targeted to go play in the top 3 tournaments over in Europe, and just finished up two weeks of youth camps at the university. Had a good recruiting class coming in. Nike called me, I think in June, and said, hey, we heard some good things about you. We want you to come on down outside of Chicago to a regional camp. We're going to have 100 of the top players in the Midwest. Oh, yeah, you don't have to say anything more. When and where, you know. But I showed up in Adidas because that's what we're under contract for. So that was kind of a interesting way to start things off. The guys were cool. They just shoved me over in a closet and say, put on whatever you want, you know, whatever fits for Nike gear, and it's yours. So at the camp, because it was Nike, and they have a bunch of, they always have had a bunch of national team players under contract with them. So there were national team players there, top coaches from across the country. This was just right up my alley, you know, to keep moving up that ladder. We had a coaches exhibition to play, and I'd never done this before, Rob. I pulled myself out, you know, playing with and against national team players. My God, what a great opportunity. But I had to pull myself out because something was wrong. I spent that night either throwing up profusely or sweating like crazy or shivering like crazy in my dorm room. Well, I got up the next morning still feeling bad, outside of Chicago, but where the heck are the hospitals? Right? So if you don't know where a hospital is or a doctor is, you go to mom. My mom was an hour and a half away in southern Wisconsin. Before cell phones, Rob. I was supposed to show up the next day to see her, give her a hug and a kiss, grab lunch, and then head up to Minneapolis for a recruiting trip. But I showed up a day early, and as soon as she looked at me, she said, something's wrong. You get your butt over the emergency room. I'll see you later. Presented myself, cut to the chase a little bit. They said, hey, go grab some Gatorade. You're going to be fine. No. No. Next morning felt worse. Canceled the recruiting calls in Minneapolis. Last thing I remember was being in the passenger seat in my stepfather's car, him backing out as my mom's just looking freaked outside of her kitchen door. I woke up a month later, man, from a coma.
Wow.
And was told the news that I had contracted Group A strep with necrotizing fasciitis, which is the death of body parts, death of skin. And that in order to save my life, what? In order to save my life, they had to amputate both hands and parts of both feet. So,
wow.
Yeah, we're talking fork in the road. That's one big ass fork right there. Yeah, I mean, I was unable to move. I had learned that I couldn't move because I had lost 40 pounds of muscle from atrophy, you know, over a month's time. Machines around me that I had no idea, but I did notice one machine, you know, looking out the corner of my right eye, I could see a machine going up and down the same as what I recognized my lungs were doing. So I put 2 and 2 together. Holy shit, this thing is, you know, it's helping me breathe. And I was
keeping
told,
you alive.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I was told. There was all these machines were keeping me alive. Dialysis. I mean, just everything, you know. So wake up.
That's crazy. So So did they tell, like, is there a specific, like, how do you contract that?
We don't know.
Is it like super rare?
Yes. At the time, it was showing its ugly head, this illness. The media glommed onto it and called it the flesh-eating disease. And that doesn't eat flesh. It's just what the body does with white blood cells to protect itself. You know, it choked off the veins in the extremities, you know, first with white blood cells. And then my family told me that they could see almost hour by hour the blackness of my skin creeping from the fingers up towards the wrist and above the wrist. And
Wow.
it did reach a point where a doctor grabbed my mom and my brother, one of my brothers, and said, "Hey, you've got two choices from here. We can unplug him and he can pass in a couple of days, or here are the amputations. We do these amputations and we see how he handles life." And what I was told was, you know, it was just, we told him to do what we knew that you would say would be to do the amputations. So, I mean, it's a lot, you know, from writing the book, I was able to dig back into some of this stuff, Rob, and find out what the family went through. And I also noticed that I was going through some things at the same time. It was called guilt. Guilt was just grabbing me by the throat, basically, because here I am. Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with what happened, but my family had to, they were there 24 hours a day while I was in the coma, basically. So I felt bad. So, but also what I was doing, Rob, was I was reflecting or deflecting my emotions or lack of showing emotions into, oh, you know, I feel bad for my family and what I've made them go through. So I did a stupid thing right from the start. And I ended up paying for it like 5 years later.
Yeah, I mean, look, I obviously, you know, a lot of people, you went through a traumatic event, but a lot of people also don't realize just how much that affects your family and the people around you as well, and especially for your parents that had to kind of make that call, right? I mean, that's got to still to this day, you know, or you know, throughout their life, it had to affect them, whether they tell you or not. You know how it is with parents; they're not gonna actively tell you that, but you know, I couldn't imagine making that call. Now, I don't have kids, I have dogs, and I know I'm gonna have to make a call at some point, you know, because we all sign up for that when you get dogs, and I don't even want to look forward to it. You know, it's something that you just put in the back of your mind. So I can only imagine, you know, what happened from a psychological standpoint for your family.
Yeah, exactly. There's still some faking that goes on now. You know, we're 32 going on 33 years later, and we all still fake things a bit on, you know, how I am emotionally or how they might be or how they treat me or whatever. You know, it still hurts. It's guilt is there. I feel guilty when my wife does stuff for me, you know, but basically, I was able to make do with what I had. And that's what the book is all about, looking backwards onto, you know, all of these things, all of these forks in the road that cropped up along the way.
Yeah, so, you know, walk me through, you know, your thoughts, you know, because, you know, I try to think, you know, up until recently, up until probably the past maybe, let's see, I was very active throughout my life. I played a lot of basketball. That was my thing. I still love basketball, but I tore my ACL in like 2016 and kind of was never the same. I mean, it got repaired, but once you get that injury, it's hard to ever really come back, at least right now. And I think I tore both of my hip rotators at some point, and it's just now kind of starting to bother me officially because, you know, after a while, you're fine. But yeah, I told this story on the podcast before, but I just remember I was playing. This was probably a year after I think I messed my left hip up, and I went to go throw a no-look pass, and I felt my entire hip on the left side just pop completely out of the socket, and then just come right back in because it's still connected to everything. You know. and I had a bruise that went from the inner part of my groin all the way down to it looked like someone beat me with a baseball bat. It was pretty bad. And that was the last time I really truly played. Like I've played, pickup basketball, 2-on-2, 3v3 here and there, but I have not played like full court hustle like I was a maniac because I was shorter, so I always had to play with speed, and I was always had to play with my brain and not necessarily my size. So walk me through, like, obviously you're, even though you're a coach, I mean, coaches still have to run around. I mean, it's still, soccer's I played soccer growing up too. It's a very physical sport in terms of sprinting and running and, mental acuity. Like there's a lot of stuff going on with soccer. When you woke up, what was that process like for you? Like finding out that you don't have hands, I mean, that's just crazy.
After I digested missing Europe, that team of college players from across country went over. They ended up winning all 3 major tournaments. I mean, I was so proud of them. They won.
Wow.
And here's another trick I did on myself, Rob. I woke up and I realized, what time of year it was. And it was, hey, my players are supposed to be arriving to training in a couple of weeks. Let's get me there. That was bullshit. I mean, that was just stupid to think that sort of. I ended up, 1 month in a coma, 4 more months in rehab. And that was a long time. I did end up going to some matches in a wheelchair and do some training with our goalkeeper, which is crazy. But, again, everybody was faking it and trying to help me out mentally. So, yeah.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Are you able to turn up your volume a little bit on your mic?
How
Maybe.
About I just bring it? I wonder if it's attached to, because I ended up turning my. Let's see if this works. Does that help? Did that help?
A little bit. It sounds a little bit better when you're closer.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Much better.
Okay, cool. I apologize.
No, you're good. You know what? It's something I can always edit and post, but
Good.
The less I have to do, and the more the AI can do it for me.
I hear you. I hear you, man.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But yeah, I mean, like I'm just thinking, in my head, there's got to be you have the almost like the 5 stages of grief, right, for
Exactly.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking in my head, if that happened to me, now I actually almost died. So when I was 5, I don't know if I ever told this story on the podcast, but when I was 5, I got spinal meningitis.
Oh, that's a bad thing.
And this was when, it was 90, I think it was 91. It's because I was born in 86. And, so my brother was a baby, or he might not even been born yet. It was like right around then. And I just remember, so I had this toy, it was almost like, it was a trash can, but it was a toy trash can. I think that's where they put all my toys.
Oh, okay.
And I remember physically, I'm vomiting in it. They had taken my parents took out all the toys, and I just kept vomiting and vomiting and vomiting. And got to a point where they're like, all right, we need to go to the hospital. We don't know what to do. Like, this isn't just a standard, like, stomach illness. And so they took me into the hospital, and I had to get a spinal tap as a kid, which is a
That's not
5-year-old screaming kid. I had to have like 5 grown men hold me down. My dad was one of them. My mom couldn't do it, and you couldn't have more than one parent in, I think, at the time. So my dad's like, don't worry, I'll do it. And, they had to do the spinal tap, found out. So there's 2 different kinds. So there's viral and bacterial. I think I want to say I had the bacterial because the viral is more deadly. I had the less deadly one. I forget which one it was. And I recovered. But that was, I'm just thinking to myself, like, what would happen if, they did the spinal tap and then I was paralyzed, or, like now as a kid, it's a lot different because you're not set, right? You would grow up. I would have grown up that way, and it would have sucked, but I would have grew up that way. And, but as you're older and in your prime, how old were you when this happened?
35. Just turned 35.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, your mid 30s, half the time you're still figuring yourself out in your mid 30s,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Oh yeah.
so I couldn't imagine the stressor that would cause. So, you know, this happens, you know, you go through therapy, you know, doctors, you know, they're telling you surviving was the victory.
Yeah.
You know, why didn't you feel like that was enough?
Part of it was what I said earlier about screwing up. Focus on work.
Yeah.
I ended up paying for it by running into the brick wall of depression, you know,
Yeah.
a few years later, because I didn't cope with my head and I didn't cope with my heart. I just work. But that was my strength and also my weakness. Okay. And I accepted that. Well, I didn't accept it. I didn't even know it at the time, Rob. We still had nationally ranked programs, but as I look back and I could look at the quality of play started to dwindle, a couple of years later, because I wasn't my salesman type self doing a dry call at a tournament on a player, because who am I to go shake someone's hand? What are they going to think? So I started recruiting differently, and it was not a good thing, because soccer is a personable, artistic game, and you need that sort of person as a coach to be able to speak with and to sell the program. My job as a head coach at a university was put butts in seats. I don't care if it's Division I and they're getting scholarships, or Division III and it's just part of the program. The job is to put butts in seats to promote the university. So I was no longer doing that after a while. I didn't think so. That's why I ended up making a change.
Yeah. And I mean, what was harder to process? The physical loss, the loss of, the hands and feet, or the fear of losing the purpose, like losing your job that you loved so much and you poured yourself into?
Marilyn Scrivseth, my athletic director, was point blank with, "Don't you dare worry about losing your position." So that I had that safety net beneath me. Okay, so it was just go forward. So I didn't have to worry about that. And I knew that my work ethic would carry me through to learn how to cope with things, even though I was faking it. So those two things I felt comfortable with being able to deal with. Okay, so I knew I'd come out at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, sports is all about resiliency.
Yeah.
So, I think that you being a coach, I mean, you every day you teach resiliency, right? And you're teaching, college kids that, that maybe they aren't used to hard stuff, and, they're not used to getting knocked down and having to get back up, and, also helping your teammates and do those things. So I can see how the sports world could kind of wrap its arms around you, in your kind of moment of despair. But at the same time, it's also very easy to hide it like you did and just say, I'm just going to keep doing me, and even though I'm not okay.
I ran into a lot of discrimination, Rob, before the illness. I was a white guy in athletics, and all you had to do was win. I like winning. I knew how to win. So, boom, sky's the limit. Afterwards, all of a sudden, I'm disabled. I mean, I ran into open discrimination that no one would admit to all the time. Later on, when I ended up resigning my position because I just needed a change, I went out east, had a couple of interviews, and at one time, there was an athletic director, and I met in his office. His secretary was across the hall. After the meeting, I went down the hall to grab a drink of water, and I heard him say to his secretary, "Why did I just interview a guy with no hands for this position?" Boom. That starts piling on, Rob. That starts piling on, along with my own self-negative.
So
built up.
What year? What like year range was this in? Were we talking like 90s, 80s?
Yeah, 93 was the illness, and the brick wall and making the change was 97. So,
And 80s, 90s, man, there really wasn't, there was rules for discrimination, right, for disabilities, but
It still happens, Rob.
no one was. Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
I am still discriminated against. Yeah.
I interviewed a guy who also went through a tragic thing, but it was from sports. He actually I think it was his first play of playing college football at the college that he dreamed of going to. On special teams, he hit somebody and it broke his back, and he became paraplegic.
Shit.
And this was in the 70s and 80s. And, he kind of described, and I thought it was kind of wild because, I'm not disabled in any way, right? So my mindset is set for someone that's got 2 hands, 2 arms, 2 legs. But when that's not there, that's when you have to start thinking about it. And it's one of the great things I love about podcasting, being able to meet people of all different avenues. I didn't think, well, okay, if this is the 70s and 80s where there's no fucking ramps anywhere.
Yeah.
How the hell this guy not only finished college still, like he made it his goal to finish college. He became a lawyer, and he was a litigator in Florida. And I just said to him, I'm like, how did you have the resilience to go through all that? And
What's he
a lot
do?
of it was his.
Yeah. No alternative, man.
He poured it all into his brain is kind of what his thought. Like, look, if I can't be physically able, I'm just going to learn.
What he did with athletics.
And I'm gonna make sure people know who I am. And he did that, I think, for like 20 or 25 years. Wrote a book about his experience, but he was explaining a lot about, his college there was no ramps. Like he had to have people carry him up the stairs. And he said not only was it demeaning because everyone would look at him, like, who's this guy? That's weird, right?
Yeah.
And obviously a different time because, there was absolutely nothing to help people. I think now we pretend like there's a lot of stuff and we don't look at it weird, but people absolutely do. 100%.
Oh yeah. As I've been getting more into the marketing aspect of this, the book is basically done. The editing process, we just have the damn thing with the proofreader. It's like, frickin' A, let's get this thing rolling, will you?
Yeah.
I'm to the point I'm learning that how this is being picked up. I just spoke with a freelance journalist out of London a couple of days ago. I mean, it's getting picked up, and it's not just the disabled community. It's the aspect of this is a damn positive story in negative times. People are picking up on that. But I'm learning that, and I'm accepting it. I'll welcome it on. If I need to be some sort of ambassador or just a person that doesn't mind speaking up about the disabled community and, give that person a job. The disabled people that are non-disabled, sorry if I'm labeling, but it basically is. Don't have.
Look, man, this is a talk-free zone.
Okay.
Here. We're not going to hit you with anything because I feel like this, the PC world drives me a little crazy. Okay. You can speak how you feel on this podcast.
Well, I don't feel that people are giving enough credit to the disabled community, and they're not understanding that visibly disabled have to deal with so much shit. Those are the people that will be dedicated. Those are the people who are going to show up when they're supposed to show up. And they're going to be the ones that also put in the extra work because they feel it, that society is looking over their shoulder at them. Those are the people that should be hired, for God's sakes. And that's one of the things that I'm starting to pick up on from my side as this thing starts to take off a bit. And I'm not afraid to say it, that doggone it, hire the disabled. They're dedicated. They deal with this crap.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. My dad listens to this podcast, Hi Pop. He recently got into a bad car accident, and but he had arthritis, like very, very bad arthritis in his lower back and in his hips. And he is now currently at the point where he can barely walk. Like, he's got a walker. He's in the process of getting his hips replaced. He's going to have a back surgery as well because he's got bulging discs from the accident. but he's going to he's going to get it. He's going to start with one, and then he's going to get the other hip. Both of them apparently need to be replaced. Okay. But they're basically bone on bone. And, you know, he kind of has been talking to me about dealing with, you know, people looking at him differently. You know, he's trying to put his walker in his car, and someone comes over and he's like, hey, let me get that for you. He's like, I got it, man. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I can do it. Like, I don't need your help. And I think there's a catch-22, right? Yes. Because we as a society, we do want to feel like we are helping disabled people, and it makes us look better, right? Because people say, oh, that guy's helping that guy. But at the same time, it's like, as I'd imagine, right? Maybe you can back me up. As a disabled person, you want to still be able to live a normal life and do what you need to do.
Yeah, leave me alone. You know, I remember someone feeling or responding to my lack of request, or to say, I got it. I remember being at a grocery store one time and about bagging groceries or things. And they almost felt as if it seemed like they were mad at me for declining. No, that's where the educating of the non-visually disabled comes in. And I think that's the perspective I've taken. I'm not pissed at people, because we don't know. It's kind of what you were describing as, I would call the Boy Scout complex. You know, help the little old lady across the street and get your badge. You know, disabled will ask. I do not have anything in my car to show that I can park in a disabled spot, because I feel that that's for people that have walking issues. Okay, and I do not. You know, so we all have our part, but it does come down to education. But we also happen to have a president right now that doesn't give a rip and actually rips on, or isn't afraid to make fun of or point out someone that's disabled. So there's a trickle-down effect on how that goes. It's making the job of the disabled community that much more difficult. And I'm just trying to get a simple point across, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, I'd imagine there's been, you know, it's almost like this up and down wave of, you know, there's rules put in place, but then, you know, I work in the insurance world, so in Medicare, so I deal with a lot of seniors, a lot of people that have disabilities. Yep. That's on my regular day, and you know, whoever comes into office, you know, and I try not to get into politics, but it's hard not to talk politics anymore in the world we live in. But it doesn't matter who's in, right? You know, Democrats, Republicans, you're right. They all come up with these rules, right? That look good until you actually read what's going on, and you're like, that's horrible for people.
I mean, we're going through that exact same thing today, because you and I are talking, and Minneapolis just happened, you know? So whenever this drops, people go, oh yeah, who knows where we're going to be at by the time people listen to this. It's, God, why can't we just be human? You know, I don't know if I just got us off on a bad tangent, Rob, but
no, I'm with you there, because, you know, look, I'll say this, in my world, right? You had Biden, who talked a big game, and then he comes up with the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, which on paper looked really good to help people, but it actually, it really screwed a ton of people. In my world, you know, because basically they shifted blame on medications from the drug companies, and they put it on to the insurance companies. And yeah, I'm not advocating insurance companies at all. They're evil as well. But if you put all that ownership on the insurance companies, it's going to hit the people that really need medications. It's going to hit those people that really need certain things.
All we have to do is look to the north at how things are done in Canada. Why is it that I can get monthly flea and tick medicine for my dog for less than half the price from Canada? From less than Canada Pet Care, folks. Maybe they could pay me a few bucks. That's freaking our stuff. Why can't we just apply? It's like the Epstein files, where it's here and we talk about it, and then all of a sudden it's on page 9, and they're expecting us to forget about it, and we forget about it whenever it comes to, you know, the drug industry. Like, come on.
Oh, or 99% of it's redacted.
Shit. You know? God. Here's one person. Oh, bag. We're getting off. I like this. Mark Cuban, you know what he's doing with his drug company. Yeah, it's like, I'm going to be opening up. I have to make some profit. What is it, 15%? It's what he gets the drugs for plus 15%. I think that's it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's a great way to go. But I think the problem is who's the number one lobbyist of politics? It's the drugs, the drug makers.
Well, guns are right behind.
And guns,
if they're
right?
not holding hands, yeah.
So, and we're one of 3 countries that legally allow, drug companies to have commercials, which I also think is crazy. I mean,
I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. What is that? What we're looking for? I mean, I'm 67, man. Holy shit! I'm supposed to now think about this too. That wasn't there when I was a kid. Wasn't there when I was 40. So yeah, it's just, I don't understand humanity. It's so different from the way I grew up, going to church. And I followed a lot of what Walter Cronkite presented on the CBS News. Here's the Vietnam War. Here's what happened. Here's the Civil Rights Movement. Here's what happened. Bobby Kennedy was killed. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. What the man?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up right. I was born mid '80s. I grew up mainly in the 2000s. Obviously I was, we'll say '90s, 2000s, but more of my main years.
Clinton and Bush.
2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wish we had Here's my problem. All right, and now I'm going off on a tangent.
What the hell?
I'm a tech guy.
Okay.
All right. My degree's in IT. I love technology. I'm born in it. It's what I do. I crave technology and figuring it out and doing all this stuff, right? It's why I'm so into AI and all this other stuff. You would think as a society that we would be getting smarter with all this technology and all these tools and all these things that give us. No, it is actually making us dumber as a society. And it's allowing people that are even worse to make decisions for us. And I don't know what the answer is, because that's I didn't go to school for politics. I actually did take a was it poli science?
Okay, yeah, poli science,
political science.
Yeah.
I did take a political science class in college, and I thought it was interesting because you get to kind of learn some of the background stuff. But I don't know what the fix is. I do think that we are getting to a point where Republicans and Democrats, a two-team system, whatever you want to call it, a two-party system, is irrelevant, because half the time they're far left, far right, and a lot of the things it's like, I consider myself in the middle, of a lot of these issues.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself, I'm a registered Democrat, but I don't consider myself one or the other. I kind of sit in the middle, because sometimes, Democrats want to give everything away for free. Republicans want to take everything away. But you have to have a happy medium where some things you should be giving away for free. I mean, all the stuff that they just did to Medicaid and, for people that are unemployed. I mean, it is
makes no sense.
Insane to me.
Let me throw out something here, Robbie. I substitute teach at the high school level. I love it still.
Okay.
Grades 10 through 12. There is something, and I've been doing this for 6 years now. There's something going on with these kids. I tell them about my story when they come into my high school as a sophomore, because that's where it starts, as a sophomore through senior. There's something about these kids. Yes, a bunch of them were totally fucked over with shutting down emotionally because of COVID. But there are some that get it. And I think they kind of remind me of the flower children and the hippies of the late 60s. Now, those bastards are the ones that are in the Senate and the Congress right now that don't give a rip. Something happened to them. But there might be something in this generation that is in high school right now. And, some of them are now into college, because I've been doing this for a bit. That they understand we don't want labels left, right. We may end up seeing a third party out of this that is down the middle. We may, I hope, but we both know, as with our age and our experience in life, that it's probably going to get nixed or nibbed in the bud as soon as it starts rearing a head up. I hope not, but it just might, because it typically does. Whatever did happen. Earth Day, I think, was 1972. I was in junior high. Our science teachers were just so ecstatic on, finally, we're going to do something. This is 72, man.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, we're running out of oil. That was the main thing. It wasn't about pollution yet. It was about running out of the oil. Well, what's happened? Nothing. It still comes down to the almighty dollar.
Well, now we just, take another country's president in the middle of the night and say, we got lots of oil, $18 trillion of oil.
And they're looking at Greenland, Colombia, and Cuba at least, because it's our hemisphere. Oh shit, we're way off about. I'm a quad amputee, man.
Look, you know what though? That's the beauty of the podcast format,
I like it.
Because
that's.
I got 9 million questions over here.
Yeah, go for it.
And if I don't get to 85% of them, that means it's a good podcast, because I don't have to sit here and figure out what the hell am I going to talk about.
My book doesn't actually drop until June 9, so we have time to do a reprise, a second episode. Okay.
Well, look, let's get back on track.
Let's do it.
Talk to me a little bit about the grieving process. How did you, obviously you got to the point where you hit the brick wall.
Yeah.
How did you finally grieve you that no longer existed?
I will capsulize.
How do you go back and do that?
I will capsulize. I did something extremely dramatic. All right. So I resigned my position at the University of Wisconsin at Eau Claire because I realized that program, it wasn't me anymore. I resigned in May. June, and we had been working on this for 4 years. We had a major medical malpractice trial. 2 weeks, $10 million, came down to one thing. If they would have run a freaking blood test when I originally presented, they would have seen. I had a temperature 102.8. They would have found an issue with white blood cells. That was our point. Their point was it wouldn't have mattered. Now, their person in the know, in Women's Day, was quoted as saying things would make a difference in a certain amount of time, and it fit into ours. But my attorney did not have that. Jeanette Stapleton from Women's Day arrive, or at least be on the phone there to contradict their person. So it was thrown out. Boom, we're done. I mean, it really came down to perception. Here's what was going on, Rob. During the trial, there was one point where I was told by my attorney, we don't want you in the courtroom because we're bringing in a psychiatrist. I know damn well they were talking about, being an athlete in the body and blah, I'm prone to committing suicide. They were trying to pull the jury emotionally over. Okay.
Yeah.
Lost the trial. I was at a friend's house when we got the phone call. I drove home. I had three levels to my apartment. The bottom level was the garage. I pulled in, and as I hit the button for the garage door to go down, it came to my mind that a lot of people are probably thinking that I wouldn't turn off my car, or maybe I'd go buy a pistol and end it. It wouldn't surprise me. I use that as my ammunition for myself. I just said, I didn't even question, never crossed. That's the only thing that crossed my mind was, Jesus, I was laughing. People are probably thinking this. I went upstairs and spent all night. I pulled CD after CD after CD of music out, and my cat was on my shoulder the whole time, basically, and coming up with a plan how I was going to break myself down to build myself back up. I went back to the beginning, and within a couple of weeks, I was heading out west to Washington State with my cat on my shoulder again, and a 3-day trip ahead of us. I had gotten rid of everything that didn't fit into my little car, and all of my awards, the plaques, the medals, the trophies, and all that shit. Just got rid of it all. It's like, boom, I'm starting fresh, man. Starting fresh. That was the key pivot point. No holds barred, done. I was on food stamps working as an unpaid assistant for a guy at a small college that we had an agreement. Don't pay me. but you're going to help me get a job again and get back up on my feet in coaching. Okay. That was the gamble. I ended up at Gonzaga, and that went, people can read it in the book how that went. It wasn't so great because at the time I was supposed to come in and then move up as the head coach was leaving. They had a new athletic director who didn't know about the agreement, and I ended up there as an assistant coach as someone didn't know what the hell she was doing. So there is a time that which way, and I knew goddamn well, this is what I'm going to do. You know, I'll cut to the chase a bit, Rob. I ended up I told the athletic director to take me off the consideration when the position came up the next year, because he in person asked me to apply for the position. I knew I had it. Instead, I ended up leaving soccer for 20 years and raising 5 adopted kids, 2 from Romania, 3 from Ethiopia.
Wow.
What the heck?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like polar opposite.
But it was one of those things that I can't explain why that happened. It just happened. And it actually set me up for the second half of the book, where I took over a group of not A team, but not B team, but C team. Here's discrimination again, folks. A C team group of 12-year-olds that the club said, keep these kids involved so we can, get the money in to keep the club going. All right. Well, the attitude, here's where the book all boils down to, Robbie, is that team, after we went through a summer of losing in 3 championship matches, those kids gained and learned confidence in how to freaking play the game at a higher level, because I trained them the way I did with my college players. When the state league of 18 matches came around, we went undefeated, won a state championship. 4 of those kids advanced to the A team, 8 to the B team. I was not asked to come back. Nothing was said to me, because I'm not afraid to say anything. I think people are figuring that out. And
wow.
Yeah, there's another fork in the road, man, where I put all my chips down because I did what I believed in. And those kids believed in me. And that's where this human thing we're talking about, basically paraphrasing, humanity can suck. This was a good story of what these 12-year-olds did. Here's a guy with no hands training them. But what I focused on, Rob, was working on their confidence, but at the same time, working on how they would play together. I didn't worry about technical drills and shit like that. It's about how we can play together. It paid off. I mean, there's the book, boom, right there. Play from your heart comes from a statement I always had, and those kids did and ended up doing it. I'll jump ahead a little bit too, Robbie. Sorry, but I ended up coming back to Wisconsin and took a group of 14-year-olds. It took us 3 years, won another state championship, because the same philosophy I have as a coach and as a person and as a teacher about believing in who I'm working with. And they ended up believing in themselves. And look what they accomplished. A bunch of them went off to play in college.
Wow.
Freaking amazing.
Look, sports, I mentioned this earlier. I think it's not just physical, but it is highly mental. I mean, and you've seen it, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm in Philly. I'm a Philly fan.
Oh yeah, tough.
True and true. We're tough here. The number one athlete that comes to mind, and I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but Ben Simmons, right? You had this guy that was drafted number 1 overall. A lot of expectations, right? Mentally, when you're getting drafted number 1 overall.
Oh hell yeah.
First couple years, I mean, he killed it. I mean, didn't really have a jump shot, but he averaged, 10 assists a game, 20 points. He was dunking on people. I mean, he looked really good. He got that huge contract extension, and then all of a sudden, he couldn't stay healthy and he couldn't shoot. Like, he literally lost his ability to shoot the ball in any concept. He would just always pass. Even if I think the thing that ended his tenure here is it was a playoff game. He's sitting under the basket. It would have won the game. He gets past the ball. It's just a layup, and he passes it out to give it to someone else, and they missed, and we lost the game. And they talked a lot about the yips. And really, at the end of the day, it's just your brain is telling you suck and you're not good, and you just basically forget how to play the sport that you're good at.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, are you guys Philly's going to sign Bo Bichette?
A lot of talk. I think
that's
we're
up there right now.
I think we're meeting with him.
Yes,
They
meeting.
said over the next couple days.
Yeah, I don't think it's a video call. I think I hope he's flying to Philly. I hope, because if you come in with Bo Bichette and then you have Crawford in center field and the young guy, then if Bichette plays second base and the young guy, I can't remember his name, ends up playing third base. I mean, that's a great team. They have pitching and everything. So
Bohm?
No, they're going to trade Bohm. They're going to trade Bohm.
Look, I
gotcha.
From a Phillies perspective, as I got older, I appreciate baseball a lot more. I used to hate baseball. Football's my number one sport. I will.
Well,
I can
you
tell
got
you.
the Eagles, man. Yeah, so
I can tell you, everybody in the whole country, I'm very versed on football.
Okay.
Basketball is my second. Playing is my first because it's my first love. And then baseball has slid into third pretty comfortably. I've watched the most games this past year than I ever have in my adult life. And I think it's just the speed of the game, even though it's slower. I do like that the pitch clock has really sped the game up. I mean, instead of it being 3.5 hours, it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But the Phillies, I really appreciate them because they're consistent, but we're consistent in a bad way sometimes, where we just lose games we should not lose, and especially in the
their
playoffs.
record during the regular season has been going up a little over the last couple of years, but their record in the playoffs has been going down. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I would rather us get in as a wild card.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a lot less expectations.
That fits those players too.
And the
blue
underdog
collar.
story fits us very well. And it's the same thing it's the same thing with the fucking Eagles.
Yeah.
I wanted them to play their starters at least for the first half, whoop up on the Commanders, secure the second seed so we didn't have to worry about stuff. Now we play the San Fran.
But you're home.
Oh
no, you're
San
on
Fran
the
doesn't
road.
play well here.
Okay.
San Fran, they don't play well here. I get that, but
You're gonna be okay.
Shanahan is a really good coach. And I think that sometimes people don't look at you're a coach, right? They don't necessarily look at the coach as much as they should, and he's really smart.
He's not dramatic. He does not draw attention.
Yeah.
I respect the hell out of that. When I coach, I sit on the sidelines making notes, keep my freaking mouth shut. At basketball, so you watch basketball, you see all the head coaches on the sideline. It's gotten into soccer a little bit. Hey, let me pitch something to see if I can pull you over, my man. Watch some World Cup matches. Watch. The title of my book is Play From Your Heart. This is a level of play that you're going to see. And here's where the title came from. Even when I was coaching my first teams of 10-year-olds when I was a freshman in college, I always told them, turn off your brain and play from your heart. Too long of a title for a book. So because those guys are all going to be at the level that they can turn off their brain. You will see mistakes because they're all watching a stupid little round thing, as we all know is a ball too much. Oh, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You will see so many players play from their heart. The artistic side of soccer is what something always pulled me. I grew up with football, basketball, baseball, and soccer pulled me in. So by the time I was 16, boom, everything else was done. I was playing on the men's side and at the first division level. I mean, the artistic side of the game. Give it a try. See if you can see the concepts of the wide angle of how the whole team plays together, not just the individual players.
My Spanish buddies that I work with, they're out of Miami. They've been trying to really get me into soccer. Messi, They're big soccer guys. Obviously, from a cultural perspective, soccer's the number one sport, overseas, and we're kind of an anomaly for the rest of the world. I do need to give it more of a chance. Same thing with hockey. I know hockey is fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's just the Flyers have sucked so long that I need to have some skin in the game. I can't just watch a Sabres game because we're born and bred here to hate the Penguins, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't just watch that for the joy of the game because I'm not there yet. Mm-hmm. Same thing with baseball. I can't just I wasn't going to watch the World Series because it just that doesn't.
That was
excite
a great
me.
World Series, though, man. You missed a good one.
I hate the Dodgers. I
Well,
really
see, but
dislike
that's
the
what makes it
Dodgers.
great. You got the Dodgers and the Yankees. Everybody says screw you too, and the Mets with the open pocketbook, but they haven't been doing much. All right, now we're getting into a freaking sports podcast.
That's how it always goes
Yeah,
on
yeah,
here,
yeah.
man.
That's
So, you obviously you made it through
Yeah.
the turmoil. I mean, you look good.
Thanks.
It looks like you got your head on your shoulders, and
Boom,
I think one thing I will say, what you did, in today's world, I think if that happened to you now and you grew up now, a lot of kids would just roll over and die. They would just give up because I think the mentality, maybe you could, you deal with kids now, right? Maybe you can change my mind, but it seems like a lot of the generation now is just quick to give up. They don't have as much of that spunkiness and fight that your generation had, that my generation, right? I'm millennial, I guess, technically. So my generation, that's just kind of just gone. It's because I guess life has been very easy.
Here's something I would throw at you, bud.
Hit me.
Over the years since I've been disabled, after 20 years raising the kids and I went back, working with players, man, I don't know how many. It's got to be in the double digits. How many of my players end up writing an English paper and giving a speech on me? They see something, and it's a bit toned down, but they're not afraid to explore it. And they see the human side of what the hell is going on. I can't wait until, some of them, there's some that I will send the book to. It's like, here, you deserve this. That they've learned some things. I think our hope is for this generation that's currently in high school and college. Because I think they see past the bullshit that we were tugged into, that we no longer believe in because we were lied to. I think they don't have to worry about the right and the left on things. They're looking for something. And maybe, for God's sake, someone will come out and say, let's do it differently.
Enough's enough.
Yeah, enough's enough. And exactly. Enough bullshit.
So,
Yeah.
What was your writing process like?
Wow.
Obviously you don't have hands, right? That's where we know we've been talking about that the whole podcast. Did you have to have someone write it for you? Did you use voice notes?
No, shortly after I got the myoelectric hands, these folks, I started out with hooks. I never wore the damn things out of the hospital. I grabbed a pencil and paper, and I knew I had to change how I presented the program to my players. I couldn't play anymore and demonstrate and work with them and have fun with them on the field anymore. I wrote a paper I titled as the Soccer Atlas. Where are we going and how are we going to get there? I detailed everything, training sessions, certain concepts of how we would work. So if the players had that, that's the base. I don't have to worry about that anymore. The players are responsible. If they didn't understand the base or they didn't take the time to learn the base, then you're gone. I didn't worry about that.
Yeah.
We could move forward. And I've been successful at doing it because I must have been able to do something well with that book, Soccer Atlas. So that's where it really started. No, I wasn't giving up. I knew I couldn't do the things the same way. I needed to change.
Yeah.
So I wrote the manual, and I got it out to the players, in the program, and we worked off of that manual. And I've continued to follow, even though I've changed how I'm presenting my concepts and the expectations to players is. I have changed so much, Rob. I'm so different from what I was before the illness. I've learned some things about life. I trust my players. I say, hey, learn this. These are, again, basic concepts. Stay within those. And I tell you what, guys or folks, I'm not going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you, I'll back up again. I'm going to ask you more questions than I'm going to tell you what to do. That I found is a trigger that the better players will pick up on. Some are lost on the sidelines, and those should just go do something else. I'm sorry. But at a competitive level.
Yeah.
right? I've been successful since 2017 on following this, and I really would like to carry it forward. I think it'd be cool to go try this philosophy at the college, maybe professional level as an advisor. I found something that I really believe in, and I it's had proven results. Rely on the players.
That's awesome, man.
You know,
Yeah.
I will not tell you what to do. You know, I'm going to ask you questions about what you think. Get them to buy in. I found that to be really, really good philosophy.
I mean, if you look at the Eagles, Nick Sirianni, man. I mean, he's a player's coach. And when, we weren't big fans of him during his press conference because he said some weird shit. But he's delivered. He's, I think, number 2, or number 1 in terms of winning percentage over a 5-year span. And he clicks with his
He
players.
wasn't afraid, balls to the wall. He wasn't afraid to go challenge the status quo with his players.
Yeah.
There's something to be said.
I don't like that he likes to promote from within when, like our offensive coordinator has not done well this year. But I guess we'll see if he's still here next year, depending on how we do in the playoffs. But listen, it's been a pleasure having you on, but I do want to end on this because I think that there's some value here in terms of like reflection, right? If old Scott, before the accident Scott, met current Scott, what do you think you'd say to each other? What is one thing?
Let's go have a couple pints at a bar and talk about soccer philosophy, because it's different from back then. Back then, I was able to impress some people over in Europe. That's how I got my gig at Nike, Rob, was through a guy I had met early on in my career, in his career, that ended up becoming the Dutch Olympic team coach. I met him again the year before. And he told me, you know what the hell you're talking about, which is strange for a European telling an American. But I still had some learning to do. I freaking now am totally comfortable and confident on how to present. So the old one would ask the new one, let's go to a bar, have a couple of beers, and let me bring a pencil and a pad of paper. Because I would...
That's awesome. I like that. I like that. Because philosophies change, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely different people
based
on... I think what makes us human is obviously all the trials and tribulations that we deal with, but it's not those. It's what defines you is how you come out on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
very cool. Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah.
So plug it, man. Plug away. Where can people find your book, find your info? I know it's not out until June, so we're kind of trailblazing.
I'm working with a small publisher. God, I went through the process. I ended up working with 2 different agents, fired the last one, who wanted to go the route of the big 5 publishers. I ended up saying, screw it, I'm going to take it over myself. I found a great publisher out of New York, independent publisher, Library Tales Publishing, and who has Simon & Schuster as our distributor. Simon & Schuster is so freaking big, they've dropped the ball on us so many times. I was told that by the end of next week, so by 16th of January, the book is supposed to be up on Amazon finally for pre-sale.
Nice.
Until then, if we drop or if they don't come through on what they've promised, people can Google Scott Martin, Martan, Scott Martin book. Simple. Scott Martin book. Probably be number 1, maybe number 2, Library Tales. Click on that. They'll take care of you because we're up for pre-sale on my publisher's website. They've got their shit together. And click on that, pre-sale the book. What I want to do, Rob, this is a competitive person to me. By the time we drop on June 9th, I want that book to be a bestseller. We've got something that is so freaking different from what's going on in the world right now that I hope people pick up on it. All right. It's a process. We got 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
We got 5 months. And I love this. It's crunch time, man. 5 months, it's crunch time. We've got to go.
I've had a lot of authors on my show, and it's never the book. I mean, the book takes you to some places that you don't want to go sometimes, but it's always the other stuff that you have to deal with that tends to make everything difficult.
Yeah, great point.
And I know publishing and all that is
Oh, it's wicked. It's wicked. Yeah, it's a wicked process.
Now, I will say this. Let me know when it comes up on Amazon. I'll post it
I will send
on my
that
stuff.
to you.
And I will buy it because I always like to support anyone that's on.
I better
my
get
show.
you a free one. I'll let my publisher know what's going on.
I'll
But
still buy it.
Okay.
I'll still buy
All
it
right.
because I understand how it is. But I'm also an audiobook guy. So do you have any plans to do audiobooks?
I don't know, because here's what's happening in February. My publisher, Usher Morgan, he's great. He also does film. He's an amazing guy. He works his ass off. And he supports what I'm doing, like 110%. He has said that in February is the big, he is going to sit down with Simon & Schuster and Barnes & Noble and pitch both of them on the book. So all of these, this is podcast number 15, I think. I've got 30 to 35 podcasts to go. Plus, we're starting to be picked up by journalists across the country. I spoke with someone from England, not just the other day.
That's awesome.
That we're going to try to do this, and by that time, it's going to be getting picked up. It's going to start picking up more and more momentum. I think because of the message,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want my opinion, which I'm just a little peon over here.
Yes.
I'm a big audiobook guy, and if you do an audiobook,
I hope if he pitches Simon & Schuster, I think if it's going to be carte blanche for them, I hope, because it's going to come from them with green light, guys, go for it in every sort of form you want to do, hardcover, softcover, whatever you want to do. I think Usher has to wait to hear from the people with the deep pockets at Simon & Schuster.
Yeah, I get it. If you can do it, I've had some of the authors that I've had on my show, they read their own novel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do it. I feel like for someone that wrote with your story, you've got a great voice. I think you could really sell it doing the audiobook as well. Just think.
Yeah, I know. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in the message. And if I really have it in my head of we're making a difference, I don't care what I'm asked to do. I will do it.
I think you should.
Yeah,
I think it would go really well.
Cool.
Hey, and if you need a cheap guy, I'd be happy to do it for you too. You let me
got
know.
it, my
all
man.
right?
Yeah.
But listen, it was a pleasure having you on. My podcast is Drink O'Clock Pod on all socials. Drink O'Clock Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll have this episode up in the near future. And look, man, let's do this again when you get a bestseller out.
I hope so. Prost, my friend.
Thank you. Cheers. Boom.
On a stormy night where legends unfold, there's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. With a mix of folklore and rebel cheer, we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer. From Irish shores to lands afar, grab your friends, it's time to raise the